Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha HaKodash. I want to send double honor to my elders and apostles, that great millstone who taught me this truth and who rule well. Peace, love, and safety is to the hopeful elect out there doing this work. And much love as well to the scattered elect and to the few sincere women that subscribe to the true doctrine. This is the brother you call Amath with the great millstone camp, the branch out here in Omaha, Nebraska, and I'm coming back with another lesson. Lord willing to feed and to edify the lost sheep of the nation of Israel through the Holy Spirit, Racha HaKodash. And I want to get into this short topic, man, of don't allow your lust or your personal life to affect your walk in this ministry, and mainly want to just focus on like lust, because that is the main thing that can pull us away from this ministry, or can divert our path. Whether that be wanting to drink all the time, whether that be wanting to play the video game all the time, wanting to be up under your woman all the time, whatever it is that you indulge in often, the more attention you give to whatever that is, that can affect your walk in this thing. And it's a very scary thought, especially in these last days, man, where you see the prophecies of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai moving at a rapid pace. And here it is, we can't make a sacrifice, or we just gotta have this dopamine effect from whatever it is outside of the truth, that we know we essentially put the truth second. There's like a situation that I had, which I'm not going to get too in depth to it, which I had one recently, and it caused me to not to perform properly, not to do a video on time, and it's, just the whole situation, it was embarrassing. I felt ashamed when I wasn't able to perform. And immediately after that, I thought about this is where the topic came from. Don't let this affect your walk in this thing. Because the things that I mentioned, those things are not wicked, but are they conducive to the truth? All right. So I'm gonna get a couple of precepts, and I pray that this is an edifying lesson. First and foremost, I'm gonna start here in the book of Corinthians. Okay. 1 Corinthians, it's like 1 Corinthians 10 and verse 23, it says, all things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient. Okay. And what does it mean by something being expedient? It goes into Strong's G4851. Sinfero. It says to bring, to bear or bring together. All right, to carry with others, to help, be profitable. All right, not all things are profitable, man. Are you able to have more than one woman? Yes. All right, thus, a man can have more than one woman as long as another woman is not married to another man. All right, but is that expedient for the times that we're in? Is that profitable? No. Why is that? Because the more women that you have, the more attention that you have to give to them. As the scriptures tell us about due benevolence. All right? And when you're constantly tending to these women, when do you have time for the Lord? Okay? Or is trying to be a family man? You're trying to go on family trips, every 2 or 3 months. Right? Now, is it wrong to go on a family trip? Hell no. But the more that and this is to each their own, because you have certain brothers that can move around and still be hella fervent in this gospel. But that's not for everybody. You may have brothers that can travel and still be on fire. Right? And that just brought me to the mind another scripture. I'm going to finish this first. Right? It says, all things are lawful for me, but all things are not profitable. All things are lawful for me, but all things edify not. So I want to get this next precept in the Apocrypha. Excuse me. This is boom, 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 boom. All right, so here we go. This is the book of Sirach, or Ecclesiastes 37 and verse 27. It says, "My son, prove thy soul and thy life, and see what is evil for it, and give that not unto it." You know, because certain brothers can handle certain things in this ministry and still be on point. It doesn't affect their walk. You know, you have certain brothers that can have more than one woman and still be on fire for this truth. You know, you have certain people that can go on trips and still be on fire for this truth, still performing well, right, and exceeding and growing, right? But that just because one brother could do it don't mean that you should be doing it. You know, even like for an example, drinking. You know, and you know, this is something that I had to experience myself. Seeing how is drinking affecting your walk in this ministry? Okay, if it's causing you to fall asleep all the time, which I'm not saying that I've been through this falling asleep all the time, but just give an example of what drinking can do. You're spending all your money up on it. Now you don't have no money for the ministry. You can't help yourself nor brothers. It's like, okay, well, you got to cut something, or you got to cut that off. Which, that may not have the same effect on every other brother. Every other brother may be able to drink and still be able to take care of their business, but that don't mean that everybody can do it. That's why it says, see what is evil for thy life and give not that unto it. For all things are not profitable for all men, neither hath every soul pleasure in everything. Because, the elder brother here, Rahab, he said something very pinnacle is that all of us have to though we are brothers, we all have to walk our own walk in this thing. We all have to be a part of this body. And all of us are going to have to answer for our work. So if we're allowing things in our life to diminish our works or affect our walk, there's nothing that the next brother can do for you in that case. Especially if you've already received comfort through the scriptures, having certain issues, and you still having the same issues after you had counsel, like that brother can't do nothing for you. Now it's between you and the Lord. Are you going to get salvation or are you not? And this is why we and I'm speaking to myself twice as much. Had to start making sacrifices, man, for things that do not profit us in these last times. Right? As the Apostle Paul, he made this statement here. Right? It says, but beloved, we are persuaded. So, okay, this is Hebrews 6 verse 9. And it says, but beloved, we are persuaded better things of you, and things that accompany salvation, though we thus speak. All right. Let's get that word accompany. Looks like echo. Strong's G 2192. Echo says to have, i.e. to hold. To have, hold in the hand, the sense of wearing. To be closely joined to a person or thing, to hold oneself to a thing. So there are things that accompany that bring us closer to salvation. Doing the will of Yahweh Shem Shai. All right. Letting go some of these lusts that that we get into. All right. You may have a fervent love for women, but is it more important than the Lord? You may love to drink the finest wines. Is that benefiting the Lord? Because and we all have to seek out our own salvation with fear and trembling. Right? Let's get that. It's not going to be a long lesson, just something I want to bring out through the Spirit, man. This is the book of Philippians 2 verse 12. It says, wherefore, my beloved, as ye have obeyed, not in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. So going back to the statement that no man can walk this walk for us. We have to figure out what's good and what's bad for us. as men. You women, women too. Figure out what's good and what's bad, and no sacrifice the things that are not benefiting you or things that are holding you back. And it can be, it can feel like a struggle. It's not the easiest thing to do, But, if we love Yahweh Shem Yahushua as we say we do, then, he'll walk us through it, He'll walk us through the time of our afflictions. Okay? He'll afflict us, but he'll also give us a way out, And I'm probably end it off there. In 1 Corinthians 10, verse 13, it says, there have no temptation taken you but such as is common to man. Because we all going through something. We all got some type of demon that we fighting. Every single last one of us, from the least of us to the greatest. You got something going on to where it's like, damn, man, this is plaguing me. But the beautiful thing is, brothers don't show it. Why? Because they're trusting in the Lord to save them out of their afflictions. So they're not letting it stress them out and slow them down. Bring them to the spirit of unbelief. They're like, man, hey, Baba Shai, Yahweh Shema Shai. Be my guide through this. Be my fortress, be my shield, my buckler. That we may please you. Because we all gonna go through something. But the Most High is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that you are able. As you hear people say, this is what it says. He ain't gonna put you through more than what you can handle. He ain't gonna put on you more than what you can handle. But with the temptation, also make a way to escape that you may be able to bear. So the Most High is with us, man. We have to believe that. So whatever problems that we have, we got to deal with them, in the spirit of truth, and pray that the Lord gives us, which He will. Pray that the Lord gives us an out, so we may be able to be more prosperous in His truth and serve Him better, and be better for the brothers. But yeah, that's pretty much the lesson, man. It wasn't intended to be a long one. Just something that was on my spirit. But I do pray that it was edifying, it was uplifting and exhorting, how we have to make sure that we all cutting off things that do not benefit our salvation. Easier said than done, but it's achievable. As the Christians in the world say, all things are possible through Yahweh Shai, who strengthens us, which that's true. But, they don't have the true understanding of it. Right? When it says that means the Lord He's going to help us get through our problems. He's going to help us, He's going to help us to be better individuals, man. We can't, don't sit around and say we can't do something when the Lord got us. The Lord said we can do it, But yeah, with that being said, like I said, I pray this was edifying, exhorting, and uplifting to the sincere listeners and viewers. That being said, I'll give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash. Double honors to my elders and apostles at Great Millstone. Peace, love, and safety is to the elect. Shalom.